Hey, welcome back, fellow creators. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to bring you another guest here on this channel. I'll be having a conversation with the creator AJ Joyner from the account Got That Pressure on TikTok, and we'll be discussing specifically how brands and businesses can successfully leverage the platform. AJ operates in the pressure washing landscape and has amassed over 1.6 million followers over the past year, and we'll be breaking down all the different stages of his journey in today's interview. There are lots of little tangents to our discussion, and of course, per usual, I'll leave the timestamps below if you want to jump ahead to a particular section or question. But I would in general highly recommend watching the entirety of this interview because there's lots of little gold nuggets of information and many things we haven't discussed previously on this channel. So if you enjoyed this information, leave a like down below, and without further ado, let's talk TikTok. Welcome back, fellow creators. Today, we have an incredible guest on the channel. I'd like to introduce you to AJ Joyner, better known as Got That Pressure on TikTok. He's a really good friend of mine. We connected a little over a year ago when he was just starting out on TikTok. We initially did some TikTok coaching, had a series of consultation calls, and since that point, he's grown his fan base on the platform to a whopping 1.6 million followers. But beyond all of that, I think even more impressive, AJ is a small business owner. He's the owner of a successful pressure washing company, Advanced Pressure Washing. And I wanted to bring him on today to talk about how you can effectively leverage TikTok specifically as a small business in the blue collar space and the white collar space, the do's and don'ts, and all the in between of managing and actually that content creative process. So AJ, it's a pleasure to have you on as always and connect over the web. Welcome to the channel.
I really appreciate it, Joseph. You've been a huge friend, and I'm very thankful that we connected early on as you provided a lot of great guidance for me.
You bet. Well, big things ahead for both of us. It's all about keeping that momentum going at this point. I think there's a couple of different tangents that I would love to take this conversation through in our time together today. I did set up a poll on Instagram, so I've got a bank of questions that are user generated just from the community on this YouTube channel. But I think we can start with a little bit of context as to how you got started on TikTok. Why did you see potential in the platform for you? We can get into your creative process, what that looks like. I know you've tentatively talked about expanding a team and you've got some people helping you in the creative journey already. And then we can talk about some of the opportunities that TikTok has led to in particular, what your content strategy looks like, and, end with some future plans that you have.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, just to hit off, getting started was, for me at the time was actually when COVID came around. And when COVID hit, I lost around $20,000. We were doing mostly commercial work at the time, and that was washing malls. So when COVID hit, obviously those clients are like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen, so we're going to hold up. Well, I was like, all right, well, we're going to go back to the grassroots where I started, and that's washing residential houses. And I needed a new way to market that. I wanted to try out TikTok. I saw, actually a video of a guy pressure washing. It was cool. I was like, hey, I can do that a little bit better in my mind. And so I did, and had a video hit 700,000 views. And I was like, hey, I like the attention, but I want to see if this will work as an ad. And I ran that as an ad on Facebook and other social media. My cost per conversion went from $22 to $7. I was like, oh, wow, this works great for generating clients for my business, these types of videos, these short 15-second videos. So I started creating more, and eventually had one within a week later that hit, I think it was 2 million views, which I thought was amazing. But then the next day uploaded one and it got 10 million views. It was a Bella Ciao video. It had, I think, over 2 million likes. And I was like, all right. I went over, had 20,000 followers, 30,000 followers overnight. I was like, hey, there's something there. And I think at the time, that's when me and you actually connected.
Yeah, it was right around that point. I know you had this roller coaster of view ratios on TikTok. Some videos weren't doing so well. Others would skyrocket up to insane levels of virality. And I think actually your best performing videos up there around 65 million views. And you've got a couple that are way over 20 million, which is fantastic that something as simple as a pressure washing time lapse or some of the other structures that you've utilized to achieve this high level of virality have actually performed so well on TikTok. It's such a non-traditional style of content on the platform. You think of TikTok as having this monumental influencing role in the music industry and with pop culture. But I think what a lot of people miss, and that's the focus of this interview, is the fact that it can have an equally noticeable impact when it comes to small businesses. You have realtors that are taking advantage of TikTok in so many ways due to the geographical nature of the platform. When you create an account, you tend to influence your local region, and they're using that as just putting out content and influencing their local areas is just a way to hack that pay to play route, which they would traditionally go down on something like Facebook, which it sounds like you dabbled in with your own company.
Well, and that's what had happened. Hit that 2 million after a couple weeks of doing that, and it was like, hey, we're going to do this more and more. And then within 6 months, I had that video that had the 65 million views. And I was, and at the same time, like I said, the 420 dog face video is exactly at the same time in that week, and grew to 700,000 followers within like 2 weeks, and then hit a million within a month. And so it skyrocketed. I think I was at a steady 160,000 followers and had that one video that just skyrocketed me. And it just grew and grew and grew to the point now where we're at 1.6 million. And, as far as, affecting for my business is locally, it is very much of when you have that type of clout online, it's very much of a selling point, because when you do that, let's say I've had instances where I'll wash one person's house and I'll upload a video, and the keep it up with the Joneses mindset. They're like, hey, the neighbor wants that done, and they're very proud. They want to show the clients want to see you create that, and they want to show that off to their friends and family. So it creates a great opportunity for more clientele. And obviously, when you build as a business owner, build a following and become one of the leaders on whatever platform you are for your industry, you are looked at as a educational person. That's someone that can teach and help others. And so it presents an opportunity of courses, selling equipment, and other ways to monetize and grow your business outside of just the service-based side. It allows you to grow as a person as well. So I think there's a lot of magic there if you are a business owner, creating content surrounding your business and documenting what you do and finding creative ways to document what you do.
Sure. And speaking of that magic, just to take our conversation back 3 minutes or so, when you were initially seeing that momentum on TikTok, what do you think really contributed to the fact that you took off fairly quickly? Obviously, there's the idea that you stand out as a business. It's different content, pressure washing. You wouldn't expect to see that on TikTok. But do you think it really comes down to a very similar example, like you mentioned, Dogface, for example, where a lot of people say, oh, he just got lucky. He had a video that did really well. Anyone can drink cranberry juice and skateboard down a highway. What do you think factored into the fact that you saw momentum so quickly?
So for me, testing out a lot of different things over this last year, for me, it's looking at, okay, the timing of everything and getting the right shot of vision. Because my first answer would be, oh, it's satisfying. Well, let's break that down even more. How I'm looking at, okay, the sound itself. I'm looking at sounds and seeing, okay, if they're at 55, 70,000, 150, 300,000 videos to it, and if I'm seeing this repetitively on my For You page. And if I'm just creating a pressure washing video, I'm looking at, okay, I'm going to put in a clip here that kind of matches this sound. If I can match it, the movements just a little bit to the sound itself, and go into the next and transition nicely into the next video and doing the same thing. And maybe when that beat hits, or when that beats are hitting repetitively, maybe the surface cleaner is going exactly with the beat. It allows for it's really nice video that people will rewatch, and finding ways to make this simple job that I'm documenting rewatchable. And that's exactly what happened. The 65 million viewed video was it timed up somewhat, not perfectly at all, but the clips are very fast. People were visually kind of stunned about, okay, how is he doing this? What is this? And I've never seen this before. And it was also a very trending song at the time. And so actually, no, it was not. The song actually used to be a old trending song from like a year ago. And I used a old trending song that was actually associated with the gaming world in that video, but it just timed up really well with the video itself. But my suggestion is, like, I think me and you have always talked about this, is if you can have something that's thought provoking at the beginning of the video in the first 3 seconds, and then do that over and over in the video where you're provoking thought, or making people question what's going on. And if you can do that fast in a motion where people are like, they need to go back and rewatch to figure out what happened, or for me, it's that satisfying element. They enjoyed that, just having that rewatchability to it.
Right. Yeah, for better or for worse, the bane of TikTok is the fact that people's attention spans are just so darn short. I mean, we've in our own creative efforts in our private groups and just looking at different articles online, the average duration on TikTok in which people make that subconscious decision whether or not they want to continue watching a video is 2 to 3 seconds, which
Yeah.
is sometimes 48, 50, 100 frames in your video that you've got to convince someone that it's worth their time, whether that's 15 seconds or now up to 3 minutes on TikTok. So really mastering, and people really underplay how important those first few frames, or not necessarily frames, but the first few seconds of your video is. And sometimes going in with a fast pace, like you were saying, or tapping into something people realized was not trending any longer on TikTok, with, like, for example, you recycling a lot of those sounds on the platform that people thought were over and done. And it seems like you've redefined what that particular audio meant on the platform. And I'm sure you've got to be one of the highest ranking videos for it.
Well, and that's that's the thing is being in the pressure washing. There's a few guys out there, but there's not a lot of content being created for it, and it's very different. So visually, it's stunning, right? If you pick up on a viral song and you create a decent video to it, chances are that it's going to do pretty well, because in those first 3 seconds, allows for a pattern interrupt, right? If you have that satisfying the pressure washing video right there, it's like that's not common on your For You page. It's a different something that's just different. People, they go over that 3 second mark and they want to figure out what's going to happen here. And the magic is after about, for me, is really after that 3 to 6 second mark, I really want to change up the clip and have something happen. A lot more often than not, in like the first 3 seconds, I say in the first 3 seconds, even if it's the same clip, I might at the 3 second mark try to find a song that has some type of beat that increases or speed that increases at 3 seconds, and my movement actually increases. And then by the 6 second, 7 second mark, I'm changing into another clip and following that same pace, or whatever the case may be, depending on the song itself. A lot of my videos, the satisfying videos, are defined by the songs itself, and I actually build the videos around the music.
Which is also such a unique tenet of TikTok. Is, I think, one of the common misconceptions a lot of people make equating it to Instagram in many respects is they think it's all about just passively uploading a lot of their value. And of course, by all means, bring the very best aspect of yourself or the information or your company that you can to TikTok. But at the same time, it's not just about that passive uploading. It's about that active involvement in the culture. And one of the unique tenets that makes TikTok so unique is the fact that it has this culture that is heavily rooted in songs and sounds and trends and challenges. And by no means is that a mold that you have to fit with every single video. For example, one of your most recent videos is you just sharing your story and the opportunities that you've created, answering a specific question that someone was asking about getting started in the pressure washing space. So there's many different boxes that you can check. And that's actually my next question is, break down for us the different structures that you've used, or what are some of the different topics that you've brought to the platform besides just the visually satisfying pressure washing time lapses?
Well, to kind of go into that is like you said, this most recent video that I put out had 700,000 views, and it was actually like a 45, 48 second long video, which honestly, it shocked me, because I've never had a video that long perform so well. Because obviously people's attention spans are very low. It was, the video was built around. I made sure to, in the first second was, hey, I included some type of numerical amount that you can make while pressure washing, and then went into breaking down what this job actually looked like. And that I don't really know what type of video I would call that, except for just an educational video. And I've done that in the past, but not to that success. And I would say for me, it's a mixture of the satisfying videos, educational videos, and also doing some videos that are kind of more of an entertainment as well. I've created collaborations in the past with some other creators I think you've seen before. But for me, I think what really feeds my page is I'll have those super viral videos, some more of the satisfying time lapses, and create more of that educational content allows for more of a showing more of my personality, and gives more people a feel for me, but also a feel for what I'm about, as well as the satisfying ones. They don't have a face to them; they're just the physical action itself.
That's actually a great tangent that I wanted to get into a little bit later, but I think we can preempt that discussion right now. How important do you think it is for businesses in particular, whether it's, for example, an e-commerce brand that has a line of beauty and cosmetic products, or it's more of a blue collar industry like pressure washing, or something that's focused on construction contracting or something like that? How important is it to have what's generally known as the human behind the handle, some personality that people can relate with? Because what I would say, and this is a conversation I've had with other creators, is TikTok has this strong emphasis on authenticity and transparency just by virtue of the fact that you've got 60 seconds, you've got sometimes 3 minutes to convey an idea, and people need to relate to something. The most shareable content on TikTok, I mean, the top 20 videos of, I believe, 2021, 17 out of 20 of them are someone sharing an experience or a story, or there's human emotion expressed. It's laughter. It's someone giving a best man speech and breaking down in tears, which is one video that has 80 million views. So how important has it been for you, or crucial in your TikTok journey, of sharing your personality and actually bringing yourself into the videos?
Well, for me, right, it's been a very interesting experience because I've been able to grow my social media following without sharing much of my personal. I've shared some of mine along the journey. I'm doing way more now than in the past. But I would say, as far as it, right, with when you're speaking about as a brand, I would say if you're selling products, I think that there's a lot of a lot of creators or companies out there that's been very creative as they don't show a person, but they show a team of people that are in the workspace itself. And I think that's very powerful as it doesn't put so much weight on one person. But I would say that it's different if you are the creator of this said product. I think it allows for a great opportunity for people to be really connected and not only want to buy your product, but just want to support you if you're sharing a lot of your personal and finding that connection there where people feel like they're very connected to and relate to you, that they just want to support you and buy that product. As far as if you are in the service world, I think it's great to showcase what you do and document what you do, which is huge. And it's kind of that same idea if you're selling a product. If you are being relatable, and people are going to want to hire you for that service because they feel like they truly know you. But it's also very powerful if you are just showing the physical service itself and you're showing how great of a job that you do, because obviously people are going to want to hire you just based off of that fact alone. The day and age we live in is that, hey, if I'm a homeowner, I want the person that's online famous for something, for whatever they do. I'm going to go after them and hire them if I'm aware of that.
Yeah, like you said, it's this chain of trust, this social validation that people saw something in you, whether it's potential, whether it's a story, whether it's a brand mission, which are all those things that people can relate to that don't necessarily have to be directly tied to a human. I think that's a common struggle that a lot of e-commerce brands or online brands deal with in particular, is they don't want one particular team member or faculty member representing their entire brand on TikTok being locked in with that one individual. So like you're saying, one of the more important things that they can focus on is the brand story, the brand message. I mean, I connected with a brand the other day, about a week ago. They're doing $90,000 per month on TikTok selling leather products, and they've never shown a human in their videos. But what they have talked about is the cultural impact behind what they're doing, what they're achieving, what their mission is. And they've built this trajectory of their profile that's not just them passively treading the water, uploading videos, or even actively participating in the culture. It's about them looking to achieve a greater purpose. And I think people subconsciously, even on a often superficial platform like TikTok, they want to be part of something greater. They want to be part of a community. And I think you can achieve that whether you're someone that has an e-commerce brand, whether you're a personality, or whether someone like yourself who's really trying to inspire younger people to start businesses, and you're presenting this opportunity in a very documentary format. But people see your journey and they want to be part of it in some way.
For sure. And that's the thing, is that we all as humans, we want to be a part of some type of tribe and somewhere how we can relate. And I think that's one of the magical things about TikTok. For wherever you're interested in, whatever your hobby is, what you love, you can find it on TikTok.
Awesome. So another tangent I would love to go down, and we'll get on into all the technicals as to, what you think defines video success on TikTok. And we'll talk about the creator fund and get practical in just a second. But going back to your style of content, what are some of the don'ts for video packages that should not be the lens through which you convey ideas on TikTok?
Biggest don't ever try to sell right out the gate. And more often than not, do not have content that's repetitively at the end of it's trying to sell. That might sound crazy as if you're a business owner, you're always wanting to make a sell. But what I say is you need to have structure in and schedule out content, and maybe have two different types of videos that are more entertainment and educational that are relating back to your business. And by that third one, having one that's by the end of it or midway through or even at the beginning, that's more of that sale, and doing that repetitively over and over into a schedule to where when someone, let's say you have a viral video, right? They click on your profile and then they start scrolling through your feed. They're looking at, okay, what type of content are you putting out? So they know whether or not they're figuring out at that point, do they want to follow you as a person? And if every single video you are trying to sell, well, a lot of people don't want to be sold. They, like you said, they want to be a part of a community of some sort, something that they can relate to and that they can find interest in. So if you're educating your space and creating content that's entertaining about your space, and then having that sell video.
Well, the selling aspect isn't necessarily the point of hesitation. It's the fact that if you do it, number one, like you mentioned, you have to do it very subtly. And I think there's a couple of ways people have done that. Number one is you have to make it very clear that your intention is to help people, that you were there to help them further some aspect of their life in some way. And if that trust is established, they'll be willing to listen to what the next level is. And so, a structure a lot of people use is someone will talk about, for example, this is one video I saw the other day, is the top 5 resources that help me master the stock market, for example. And they talk about, they talk about one that really helped them, and it's an actual genuine resource. They talk about an article. They might mention a book or an ebook or something. At the very end, they'll jokingly plug their YouTube channel, or they'll talk about, oh, here's an ebook that I put together that might help you. And then the other aspect too is when it comes to your profile in particular, I know you're at this stage right now, and we can touch more on the finer details of this later on, but you're making this transition where you've actually got a product that you're about to launch, an educational program that's going to walk people through your own journey and give them the structure and the foundation for launching a successful business in the pressure washing space of their own. But what are some of the steps that you're taking that a business might keep in the back of their mind when it comes to pitching to your audience, or soft pitching, or actually presenting an opportunity that you've put together to them?
Well, and it kind of just going off what I said a second ago is, for me, it's thinking of a schedule. Well, I know the video types that work very well, so satisfying. So keeping those very regular, one a day. As when I launch this course, it's going to be one a day of the satisfying videos, because those are the ones that tend to go most viral and allow for a lot of traffic into my page. And then secondly is doing free educational content. Now, this educational content is going to be educational, but at the same time, it's not going to, obviously, in 60 seconds, 3 minutes, I can't teach a whole course. So there's a lot of room there for me to present a lot of great topics in educational, provide value. And also at the same time, hey, if you want to learn more or anything along those lines by the end of the video, to be referred back to that. Because I think, for me, my hesitation ever putting out educational content was like, all right, great, I'm going to put this out here, but I don't have a course. I don't have anything to kind of direct people to. Once I put that out there, it's out there, right? So, which is great. I want to be helpful to people, but at the same time, it's, you as a creator, you have to think, okay, you're creating this content. TikTok, don't want to get into the creator fund right now, but the time that you put in by the end of it, going on a year, it's been a great opportunity, I love it. I've loved the journey, but at the same time, I'm to a point now where I have to look at, okay, how am I monetizing this and making the most of the time that I'm investing? And so that's where it comes into, as my challenge as a service-based business is that, hey, I can't, even though I have all these followers, I can't go travel around the nation, let alone the world, and just pressure wash everyone's houses. There has to be things that are online, and finding new creative ways and ventures to provide value and provide a service or a product in some way, shape, or form online.
Right. Well, that's the stage you're at right now. And I think that's probably, regardless of whether or not you should have started monetizing early on, I think your audience is really going to appreciate when you launch more so than if you started from day 30 at 50,000 followers, because they've seen the commitment and how consistent you are when you're not bringing home the bacon every single day directly through TikTok. And I think the other thing too is, and you hit it spot on before with really planting those seeds of value and then bringing the greater access to yourself later on. We call this the invitation to the party approach, where if you have a end goal that you want TikTok to help you establish, whether it's growing a YouTube channel or helping you build a collective community of people that are building service-based businesses, for example, you need to make sure that you are very, very clear that you only can bring so much through TikTok. You are capped in many respects, and especially for a business, if you're talking about a concept in the real estate space, so you're breaking down exactly the financials of what it looks like behind the scenes for a pressure washing company, sometimes a 15-second video or 30-second video may not be the best package for that. And so making that clear that that's the invitation, but the party is found in a video that's breaking this down in detail on your YouTube channel, for example, or it sounds like in your program where you're putting together this vast library of behind the scenes of you actually servicing certain clients, or you talk about different aspects of what you do.
And that's the thing is that even for the course itself, and it's just and my my social media is it's just it's a process. You got to grow and evolve over time. And I do want to touch on the fact that you had mentioned as well is that that's the thing is like when me and you first connected, you said do not go for any brands or partnerships until you really hit about 500,000. And for me, I kind of want to say as well as as far as monetization, until you hit maybe about 200,000, 500,000, I think, you really have to just build up that following in that community. But at the same time, there's a counter argument to that because I know of individuals who are 20,000, 50,000, that all their content's very educational, very much about their business. And they are, one individual that Caleb Roberts, he did $80,000 in his first year on TikTok and only had, I think, 50,000 followers. But his whole thing was he was teaching side hustles and things on that nature.
Exactly. It at its most basic level, it comes down to knowing you, your audience, and how developed and cultivated that creator audience relationship is. You can start on TikTok and you can put some water on the floor, have someone slip on it. Not that I recommend that, but it can do a prank style format. And sure, you might blow up to 10 million views and you add 100,000 followers. Can you monetize that? No, you have an audience that's locked in with one style of content versus people that are clearly willing to learn. They want to know what a side hustle is. What can they do with $100 this weekend? And those are people that you can probably and clearly get away with more of a quality concentration with versus the sheer quantity of 500,000, which may not be the best audience to monetize. So you're absolutely right. It does fundamentally come down to.
You actually just gave me a great idea.
What's that? I want to hear it live.
So you said, what can I do with $100 on the weekend? Like, I always made this joke. All these people out here hustling different things. I'm like, well, if you took $100, went to a Lowe's, you can buy window cleaning stuff, and you can make $400 in 3 hours cleaning windows.
Or just pitch it to your relatives. Hey, can I come over this weekend and clean grandma's house? And that could be your first client. And then you can start snowballing from there.
And honestly, I was thinking in my head, I was like, all right, how do I build this into pressure washing? Well, people are always like, I don't have $1,000 to $1,500, $2,000 to buy the entry level professional grade equipment that you need to really make good money in the pressure washing world. Well, hey, if you got $100, I'll tell you how to real quickly go out and sell a window cleaning job and how to clean windows and create just a video around that and how you can save up to purchase these different things.
Right.
My new educational route to go is showing some of these other side hustles in the cleaning industries that are low cost to entry, and building that into, hey, you're building up into this point where you can really get into the next level of equipment, or the case may be.
Sure. And that's a concept we call specificity, where you start your video, the very first few seconds is you getting hyper specific with who you're trying to target, or you present this over the top, elaborate, detailed situation. Are you 18 years old looking to invest $109.63 this weekend? It sounds like a pitch, but it's a really, really hyper detailed call out to your audience that captures attention. And it works well because either the people that meet that criterion, which is probably 1% of people who are 19 years old with that much to allocate, obviously they're going to feel called out by relevance, or they're going to be the majority of people who are going to be wondering in their minds, okay, what's in this video that is not relevant to me, but it's relevant to a 19-year-old. I'm 18 years old. That piques their interest and they watch the video as well. So getting detailed, like I mentioned, with the $100 in the weekend, or throwing details like Saturday window cleaning, a lot of those things can really make it a little bit more memorable and catching.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get into some of the practicals here, because I know this is the nitty gritty that people love to want to hear the details on. What are some of the things objectively when it comes down to the watch time, the shares, the engagement, tagging people in the comment section? From your experience on TikTok, what are the flagship metrics that you notice tend to influence a video success?
So over this last year, I mean, you've gone back and forth on this. It's always ever changing. But at the end of the day, it's watch time. And the closer you can get to full completion, or if you can ever get over, I know you actually have something that's very detailed and laid out within your course itself. Is showing if your watch time is at a certain point, it's going very viral. Am I correct on that?
It does come down to the video length for sure. Those little bite-sized videos,
Mhm.
you need an impressive watch, if not a rewatch ratio. But some of the longer ones, generally, if you can get around a 45-second video close to around 80%, and again, there's no blanket standard metric, but there is a certain point where it does become that tipping point. If it's a longer video and you're around that, objectively 75 to 90% range, it's going to do well.
I would say, it's rewatchability for sure. And just, I would say shares are huge. But at the same time, I don't think they have as much impact as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can agree with that.
likes, if I can say around 20% through the first 2 days, that video is going to perform very well. And especially if it's in the first, I would say, first 10 hours, if it stays around 20%, I know it's going to perform pretty well. It's going to go to 100,000, but possibly even more, depending on the sound that's being used. Doing more of the educational content really comes down to, okay, what question are you proposing? And every 3 seconds, having different clips while after that first initial 3 seconds proposing a question, following up with the answer to that and providing supportive clips and changing up those supportive clips every 3 seconds, 5 seconds.
That's interesting too. And just to backtrack, you talked about the period where you initially post the video, that having a significant success on whether the video takes off fairly quickly. And that's a concept that I'm really starting to notice. I think is one of the transitions TikTok is making is it's not just about the certain level of metrics that you can get on a video with shares or comments or likes, which at least in my opinion, I haven't seen a whole lot of emphasis on just due to the fact that they can be very easily artificially manipulated. There was a brand that reached out to me, a service growth hack tool for TikTok, and they have this community that they're creating where they're trying to get people to sign up. And the way it works is you'll follow someone based on giving them a few likes on a video, you'll achieve coins, and then that person will end up following you. And it's this weird back and forth system, not a follow for follow per se, but it's all about going onto a video, watching it for 1 second, liking the video. And it's things like that that lead me to believe TikTok is smart enough to vet those people out.
So are these coins actually like crypto coins?
It's kind of an in-app currency. You
Oh.
achieve these and you build up this bank of coins based on you liking, commenting, and sharing someone else's video. So it's not an actual true active engagement. It's just something that you're incentivized to do in order to.
It would be really interesting if someone was like, "Hey, I'm going to create this cryptocurrency. Let's call it Titcoin."
Titcoin.
And you have to pay so much for people to engage, and like the company makes money off of that, but then like they give out these coins as well. I don't know, crazy business idea.
Knowing the crypto market right now, that's not too far-fetched. We've had much simplistic things achieve unbelievably great results. And that's obviously a conversation for another time. Yeah. I am curious though, too. I mean, taking it back to one of the last questions I have about the metrics that have performed well for your videos, what's something that businesses should really, really focus on right now when it comes to optimizing for better watch time, which obviously is something we've seen been prioritized over the past year?
I would say instead or to create a send that's and making it relate to your business, but finding a new creative way to do so. I think that's a very easy way to get started, right? But then finding, okay, what are different actions within your business that you can walk people through or create some type of new creative content? Let's say if you're a dog groomer, for example, right? Finding different ways to tell a story about a dog that comes in and going through that story and doing that all in 30 seconds. I think, just being able to document, and we've always said that just documenting what you do and finding how to do that concisely is huge.
Yeah, I think the story element is key. Is people don't realize how many opportunities there are in their transactions and their customer relationships, B2C actions, that they can really build some meaningful TikTok videos around. Realtors in particular, I know a lot of them are starting to focus on what we've kind of defined as the story behind the sale, where if they're interviewing a client of theirs, or they might choose to interview a client of theirs who's selling a house, and they talk about the meaning that that piece of property or that real estate had to them. The dog grooming example was a really great one. People have emotional attachments to pets. And I think that's something you could really, really capitalize on. A lot of people feel that there's a single viral package they need to fit. In reality, it's all about experimentation, as cliche as it often sounds. that equation, AJ plus what equals viral content, or Joseph plus what equals viral content. There's a different missing variable there for every single person. And I think
And every
really,
single
like,
video, I would
in
say
every
as
single
well.
video too. I mean, the 15-second comedy concentrated video may not work for someone who is a gifted storyteller, and people really feel engaged when they're speaking for 30 seconds, for example.
The reason I've said this before, and me and you've spoken about, is like understanding, hey, you must have your pattern interrupt in the beginning of the video, whatever it is for any type of video, having your pattern interrupt, and then going into every 1.5, 3 seconds, having maybe the camera pull in and out, different visuals going on that's supporting the story or whatever you're trying to showcase. And I think
Right.
that's really the answer I try to give when someone asks me what allows for virality. And that's kind of like the go-to formula that I say, hey, this is kind of what you need to kind of build around. Look for a viral sound as well. That's always great, but it's not always the case.
Right. Well, you look at people like Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, and what people don't realize is that behind those 10-minute long, 30, 60 million viewed videos, there is a masterful structure that is mapped and scripted and prepared down to a T. And I've seen some of his videos. There's a few creators that I've connected with, and we've broken down at 2 minutes. There's clearly in a lot of his videos, there's a change in pace. At 3 minutes and 30 seconds, there's something that happens. And that's the way you're saying to approach a lot of TikTok videos as well, is you have to play and have to factor in that people have such micro short attention spans. And if you give people, for better for worse, a second's doubt of hesitation whether your content is worth watching or not, they're going to take you up on that opportunity, and they're going to keep thumbing by on that For You
Yes,
page until they see something that is an attention grabber.
for sure. That's just how it is, and that's reason you just, like I said, keep people's attention, keep it going, keep it changing and flowing.
For sure. Well, let's transition into a couple of different aspects of what TikTok has led you to achieve. So one thing I want to touch upon, and this is always a big question a lot of creators have, and brands also, but can you talk a little bit about, and you don't have to mention specific names, but can you touch upon some of the partnerships or the ambassador opportunities that have come your way because of your affluence on TikTok?
Well, I'll say, there was a huge experience that I had back in January, in the middle of winter, when actually my service-based business slowed because it was a seasonal business. Clubhouse actually came out at the time, and was speaking on there, just joined the app, seeing what's about, and found myself speaking about TikTok. And me and we talked about this and had that experience where, got paid, it was well over $20,000, $30,000 that someone had actually paid me to come out and educate them and help them launch their TikTok profile, and was a great experience, right? And so when you build up as a influencer in a space, you present an opportunity where a lot of people, business owners, especially if you're on a new platform, they want to learn how to learn what you do, how you do it, and they want to do it, have that same success for themselves. So you'll have opportunities like that, and more on the, in more of the standard influencer side. I've had opportunities with, there was one company that paid me, I think it was $1,500, that to create a Mother's Day video, and did that back during Mother's Day. Going into, more of my industry specific brand and sponsorships. We had mentioned earlier, I can't remember if we were recording at the time, but speaking about, like the $3 billion company that they've just never spent money on social media. They, they were, I'm looking at, as like, my worth to a company that is so industry specific is like so high, but at the same time, these companies are not willing to spend money right now because the social media space is so new. Um, but really, for me, what I'm looking at now instead of brand sponsorships is something I'm actually not interested at the time, because I'm really focusing on, okay, what can I do to just build myself? And that's really where the
Mhm.
courses coming into, now being affiliate selling equipment as well. I think that's really where, for me, is where I'm going to monetize and be able to produce that kind of income, and building up my own online businesses will allow me to grow and evolve my social media, allow me to create more content and bring people onto my team, having that type of income, because the sponsorships, they're kind of hit and miss right now, is what I found.
Exactly. And we've had this conversation off camera multiple times, as you've gone through so many incredible opportunities that have come your way, but it always almost comes down to the marketing team on the other end of the phone having a little bit of hesitation, because the blue collar space, at least the pressure washing landscape, is still yet to be significantly pioneered in that aspect of brand sponsorships. And you're kind of that shining city on the hill that appeals to a lot of them because you're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pressure washing influencer on social media, at least that has your level of reach and influence. And there's still, and this is something to be aware of for a lot of people who have businesses that are in the blue collar space in particular. There may not be these opportunities right now, but like we were saying early on prior to recording, there is going to be the stage where that light bulb moment turns on and people have this epiphany. Brands realize that this is where a lot of the attention is now. And some of these younger generations who are going to be the next era of customers for our company in particular are getting and learning about these opportunities on social media. They're learning from people like AJ Joyner.
Well, and for me, I feel like there's a big responsibility for me, and something that I'm kind of happy about is that it is this situation where it's not been pioneered. So the opportunity for me is, as someone in the blue collar space that's creating content, I kind of get to pioneer this. I get to figure this out and come back to these companies and say, all right, well, here, look, see, I've gotten all this traction, these sales with my own stuff. Here's an opportunity that you might have missed out on, but hey, my price just went up, right?
Yep.
But also going to these sponsorships like, hey, look, it's proven, right? Is that if you are in a blue collar space and you're a creator, you can have success, whether it's you're selling and monetizing your own, or it provides more of a history for other people that are in the blue collar space. So let's say if there's someone that's a mechanic that's creating content, well, now companies might be more attracted if, say, for instance, someone that's in the pressure washing world is being successful with their sponsorships, and just be able to, I think, if I'm able to successfully figure all this out on my end, getting being able to sell my own items and my own things, and then eventually getting more of the high level sponsorships and brand ambassadorships and getting those, it creates opportunity for other people there in the blue collar space as well. I will say, when I started on social media, my business was doing very well and still doing well to this day. But I would say that, adding into the mix the TikTok, it created for me, because I'm a smaller operation of where I do have people that will work for me, and I do have a business partner, but at the same time, creating content I do have a love for. So it kind of distracted me from my business itself. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, because I'm much more of a happier person where I'm at today than I was a year ago, or before I started TikTok. So but the only thing I have to look at now, instead of, I'm not putting out a ton of content right now, because I'm looking at it as like, okay, what am I getting out of this? What is the long-term effect here? I had opportunities and Business Insider interviewing me, had tons of media attention, many articles, different articles written on me. Great. But at the end of the day, what does that amount to? Right. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a healthy mental discussion to have. I'm in a similar situation now with different endeavors with my own company. I do want to capitalize on one thing you said really quickly is can you tell me a little bit about how the creative process works? Because obviously a lot of brands, they're going to have social media managers. They want someone actually managing and engaging with the comment section. Are you an advocate of managing everything yourself? Or is there anything that you could recommend that can help brands implement a more effective creative process when it comes to editing, filming, uploading, et cetera?
What kind of situation would you like to me kind of give my thoughts on? Because there's so many different ones out there, depending on if it's just somebody that's owning and operating their own business to a company, a true brand out there.
Let's take a scenario similar to yourself, because I see where you're getting at. When it comes to a brand in particular, obviously the CEO and founder isn't going to be responding to every single comment. That's going to have to be outsourced. That's pretty clear. But someone like yourself, who's a contractor, who's a mechanic, who's a realtor, who's a doctor, if they have an hour of their day that they can devote to TikTok, would you suggest that they go all in with that time, or have someone else who can help with the process?
I would say have someone else, especially if they have employees, that if they can find someone that's somewhat savvy, that's already on their staff on social medias. If they have someone on their staff that's created videos before, great. But that kind of can get some of that B-roll footage and those different items, and they focus in more of the story that they want to tell. Another option is actually hiring possibly even an editor as well. As that, hey, if you don't know how to edit, just film different things, send over that footage to the editor, and you provide the voiceover and the story that you want to be told.
Is that what the structure looks like for you? Or are you kind of the sole orchestrator
For
behind
me,
everything?
I'm the sole orchestra. I just have a love for it. And so I like to take the 2 hours it takes sometimes to create a video, or an hour. Now, more of the satisfying time lapse videos, those take me 15 minutes sometimes to put together. The one that was 65 million views, I think it only took me 30 seconds to put together. Or not 30 seconds, 30 minutes.
And that's TikTok for you, right? It's often not the stupid ideas, but the most simplistic creations that tend to scale on the platform. When your greatest work, you put all the glory and effort into the blood, sweat, and tears in many situations, that just kind of stagnates. It is frustrating, but that's also the beauty of the culture, is its unpredictability.
Yes, very much so. I've spent 3 hours on a video, got 20,000 views. Spent 30 minutes on a video, got 65 million views.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of, we sit here and we try to figure out the perfect formula, but there is none. I would say the only thing that you can stick to is trying to keep attention.
Isn't that the $65 million pursuit? Well, cool, AJ. I don't want to take too much of your time here, but I want to get into some Instagram questions just to make sure that the community has their voice heard, so to speak. Someone was asking, how important are live streams? Is there any business tips that you have for brands in using a live stream to cultivate a relationship with their audience at all?
You honestly, you might call me lazy, but I've never really taken effect to this because for me, it's a little harder if I'm out in the field. People will sit there and watch a live stream of pressure washing, right? Or me going around a property and showcasing that. But at the same time, I just haven't seen where does this really fit in? I think it's great when if your goal is to build a community. I think that it allows you to really, really, really show more of yourself and the people that are behind the scenes, right? And to get more to those Q&A, especially if you're being overwhelmed with them. I think that's where it really comes in.
Are there any little micro features like the Q&A feature that you would recommend businesses need to take advantage of? Things that can help them develop a better creator or brand audience relationship with their viewers?
Q&As are huge, especially with that Q&A features that there's a whole list. I have so many Q&As that it's endless video ideas, endless
That's awesome.
creative opportunity when you have the Q&A feature and creating polls or different questionnaires. It allows you to kind of go on a kind of let your brain rest just a little bit of hey, you don't have to always come up with the topics. Let your community come up with the topics, and in turn, the community will feel like their voice is heard, because it is.
The other thing I was curious about too, and by the way, just so a lot of creators know, just knowing some of the internals of what TikTok has coming over the course of the summer, there's a lot of things just like the Q&A feature. I mean, I've touched upon in a few other videos, the ability to schedule live events, things that TikTok is really bringing out and issuing that are really pulling the eyeballs exclusively just from the For You page to your profile as well. They're trying to create the profile as a center hub of exploration, because people feel like the be all end all success of TikTok is whether or not you're on the For You page on a daily basis, which isn't how we judge success on a YouTube channel. It's not whether you're on recommended every single day, although that certainly plays a factor into how well your views actually reflect in your videos, but it's that sense of community. It's how many people are coming back to your evergreen content and browsing TikTok. And I think that's something that's really become important in your own profile as well. Now that you're not posting at a high level, at least as so much as you were before, is you're still bringing in this momentum and you're getting this exploration with the Q&A feature. Clearly, there's this endless stream of ideas that you can pull from and things of that nature. As far as hashtags go, any recommendations for hashtags at all? What's your approach in a barroom pitch?
And barroom pitch is, I like to have three that directly relate. And if you're not established, throw in some two hashtags that may not relate at all, and one of them might be that one of those trending hashtags right now. Honestly, and this might sound crazy, hashtags are great, especially when starting out, but I think you almost get to a point where hashtags don't really matter that much on TikTok. And that, I think, it's a very controversial topic. People always go back and forth on it. Some people don't even put hashtags. But I think when starting out, it really allows yourself to for the algorithm to figure out what trajectory are you going, what is your account about, and what allows the algorithm better place you. I might be wrong with that, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally my consensus as well. And again, I just like to take back to what TikTok has put forth, and I'll link some articles down below if anyone wants to research further. But they're data points. At the end of the day, they're data points that the algorithm can look at to help its AI system appropriately distribute your content to audiences that would most likely be interested. I know a lot of creators, like you mentioned, there's a point where sometimes the hashtags don't really seem to make a big effect. And that's when a lot of creators will brand their content with their own hashtag so that they're not just contributing to the platform by uploading videos, but they've got this customized phrase or mantra that other people, their followers, are using in their videos. And that is a way of shooting your roots and your branches, so to speak. When you've got people duetting your content and stitching your content and making use of a hashtag, it's that validation that TikTok can look at to see that, to verify you as someone who is actually having influence on the culture, not just uploading ideas. All right, 2 last questions here that I want to get into before we wrap up. And this is a big one. What is your thoughts on businesses going down the pay-to-play route? Should they get into the TikTok for Business ad platform right now when they're just getting started, or are you a proponent of taking advantage of that organic reach first?
Organic reach first. Learn how to create. If you do not know how to create a organic video that performs very well, you're going to waste your money. A lot of times I'll scroll through my For You page and see terrible ads that people are in the comment sections just making fun of because it's nothing that people are familiar with on TikTok. So if you can find your way, if you can establish yourself first, get to 20. If you're just on there, if your goal is just to monetize and make money, minimum get to 30,000, 50,000, 20,000 followers minimum. Learn how to create that organic piece of content that performs decent, and then at that point go into the pay to play. It's a very thin line because you do not want to get a bad name, and it's almost. I don't know yet because it's so new, or it's available to everyone now, the pay to play route, as they've come off that feature for promoting that. I'm already seeing some negative stigma to it if you people are.
Oh yeah, the promoting feature. Yeah, that's a big point of contention in the TikTok culture at large. I've got my own opinions on that. Obviously, now's not the time to jump into that discussion, but I do think it's one of those steps back for TikTok as a whole. So the last thing, and this is a question that I like to throw at the end of these interviews, is what is one major way in which you would like to see TikTok as a platform, as a community improve?
Having a link in the description of a video.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
If I could have a link on a 65 million view video, whoo, it'd be crazy. But no, I have to figure out how to creatively take that audience and push them to my profile to go click that link in the actual description, my page description, in my bio.
Well, I think it'll likely be something they introduce, but I hope it's not something that is mainstream for everyone, because that's just going to destroy the platform. Everyone's going to be pitching in a video, and that's going to be the lens through which they create. I think there likely will be like threshold, or it'll only be available to the business account, for example. And obviously, I think that'll be a big game changer because the business account is great when paired with the app platform, but it's not great when it comes to pairing that as an individual or as a creator. So I hope they present an option and it's not something so easily accessible, but I do think it'll be one of those big game changers, like the swipe up feature in stories available as an option in a video. Like that's something just unparalleled, especially considering the reach that you can get on TikTok. Well, awesome, AJ. It's been a pleasure picking your brain and hearing your thoughts. Obviously, we've had many conversations off camera as well, and this has just been a further recap of what we discussed, and I think a lot of new things that people listening can get some good value from. So thanks so much for coming on. Any final thoughts, any final words for listeners of the channel?
I would say if you're a listener, just start creating content. If you're not already, start doing it, start experimenting, and just get comfortable doing so. And start taking action on any ideas or any vision that you have. Start taking action on it, because if you never take action, you'll never achieve anything.
Exactly. One of my favorite quotes along that line is, an inch of action is worth more than a mile of intention. Sometimes it's just all about pulling the trigger.
Yes. Stay focused.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, AJ. We'll keep up the momentum, both of us, and have a fantastic rest of the day.
Yes, sir. Thank you.